Hey guys, it's the Warrior. So I'm going to be going over my ultimate RLSH guide. So I've been scripting this over the past few days here. Um, I posted on Twitter that I was making this and then it'd take a while to upload. So this is it. Um, yeah. So some things I do have my script on my phone, so if you see me looking at my phone a lot, that would be why. Uh, I don't have it memorized. Don't judge me, and don't judge the hair. It's a little messy today. Does what it wants to. But so the things that we're going to be covering today are combat, weapon disarms, parkour, training continued past knowledge. That's something that I'll get into when it comes up. It's not exactly self-explanatory. De-escalation, suit design and persona, possible weapons and gadgets, transportation, interactions with law enforcement, masked versus unmasked, and something that I'm just thinking of now is what to expect on patrol. So, with that, those are all of the things that we're going to be going over. Let's hop right into it. All right. So, combat. Let's get this out of the way because that's what everybody thinks of when they want to be an RLSH is fighting crime, beat up the bad guy, take him to Jim Gordon type of shit. No. All right. Hand-to-hand combat is a last resort. You try everything in your power to not get there. All right? You need to de-escalate the situation, but in the event that it does, you need to be prepared. All right? Because, not everybody will be de-escalated. You will have instances where you just have to punch a dude in the face. What I recommend is being professionally trained in at least one form of combat martial art. I chose boxing. That's my base, is boxing. But once you have been professionally trained in one, then branch out and find a different martial art that interests you and study multiple. Get professionally trained in one, but study multiple. Because a lot of the information does transfer. Because a lot of the fundamentals are kind of similar. Like, guard, that's kind of universal. There are different forms and variations of how you guard, but if you can have a strong base in one, it can apply to multiple. So that's my recommendation is get, a strong base and then branch out. Especially, like, I chose boxing, which is more, punches, but you got to keep it real with yourself. Most street fights devolve into grappling matches, because people will grab your shirt or something, grab something that's on you and try to rip you down to the ground. All right? So you need to be better at that than they are. But you also need to learn the traditional punching style because you will have more control over the situation that way if you are better than they are. And I find it's also a personal preference. Like, what do you prefer? If you're more of a grappler style of combat person, study something like jujitsu, wrestling, something like that, Yeah. Another thing that I've learned is, I've studied it. I've studied the principles of it is Aikido. Especially because at the time I wasn't physically all that strong. All right? And that helps. Is if you're not physically all that strong, study that one because it's about using your opponent's momentum against them. I'm not going to go into teaching you guys the martial arts because there are way better sources than me when it comes to teaching you guys that stuff. All right? But that's what I recommend is jujitsu or wrestling or something like that for grappling, and then boxing, kickboxing, karate, Muay Thai, something like that. Weapon disarms. They go hand in hand with combat. So let's just get that out of the way now. The critical ones to learn are knife, firearm, and baton. Those are the three ones that you need to know. Baton is probably the easiest in my opinion. But I can hear you now. Warrior, nobody carries a baton. If they're going to carry a weapon, they'll be carrying a knife. Correct. But they will pick up a stick. They will pick up something to use, as a baton. They won't carry an active baton, but they'll pick up a stick. They'll pick up something to use against you like that. I will have some disarm techniques in the description. As that goes for a lot of the things that I'm not willing to teach you in this video, is I will have them something in the description that will cover them and help you guys out. All right? Because they're going to be way more qualified and way better at teaching them than I will be. So with parkour, this is something that I will be teaching you in this video, and I'm going to go to a different location to teach you that. Yeah, so let's go. Alrighty, so we're here at my parkour location where I'll teach you how to do some survival parkour. Hold on, let me get my notepad out. Sorry about the poor camera angle. Alright, so the things that I will be teaching you today are safety and speed vault, turn vault, wall run, wall climb, cat leap, tic-tac, wall descent, precision jump, and safety roll. Safety roll is the most important one, so I'm going to save that for last, so it's most fresh in your memory. So, for the vaults, let's go to a place where I can teach you how to do a vault. We're at my vault location. So, the first thing I'm going to be teaching you is the safety vault. The safety vault is the most crucial vault that you will learn. It is safe. Meaning you could mess it up a little and still be all right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to vault this bench, which benches like this are perfect to practice on. They're the best thing to practice on. And I'm going to show you the safety and speed vault on this bench, and then I'm going to show you why you sometimes want to use the safety vault even if you have the speed vault mastered. All right, so I am in downtown at the moment, so it's going to be a little bit noisier. So sorry about that in advance, but here we go. Here is the first safety vault. It's going to be the easiest vault to learn. You put your foot up and help guide you over. All right, it's really easy. See? Easy, simple, efficient. But the speed vault is going to be faster, all right? It's going to be faster, it's going to be better if you're trying to maintain your momentum, all right? So let's go over that. I'm going to be slow in this because I don't have exactly run up, but you'll get the picture, all right? So let me set you back down. Easy, simple, efficient. That's the name of the game for safety and speed vault. Now, see, we're going to my next location where I'm going to show you where it would be more useful to use a safety vault even though you have mastered the speed vault. All right, let's go there. All right, we're at my next location, which the old location is right over there, but for purposes of this video, cut it out. So now, this is why you should sometimes use a safety vault, because this, I could speed vault that, but I don't know what's on the other side of it. I gotta take things slow, all right? Gotta take things slow. If it's a higher ledge that you're comfortable just speed vaulting over, then safety vault it, all right? Safety vault is safe, all right? Always. So that's the most important thing, is to do it safely. So I'm gonna put you down and demonstrate speed vaulting, or safety. Alrighty, so that was the safety vault application. So another use for a safety vault is wall climbs, but we're at the location for that, but I'm going to show you something else first. I'm going to show you how to do a turn vault. A turn vault can be used in combination with your safety vault to make sure that you don't take a drop that you're not willing to take. Okay, so let me find a place to set you down. Alrighty, now time for the wall run, wall climb. So this one I'm going to give you a step-by-step tutorial for, because it is more complicated than a vault. The vault is kind of self-explanatory, to be honest. You can kind of just figure it out by looking at them. So yeah, let's go through a step-by-step tutorial on this one. So I'm going to be using this wall, the same wall I turned vaulted off the last time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run up, jump, push like that. All right, you're going to push away and up. All right, so you're going to be pushing up, up, and away. So, because if you push just straight down, you're going to slip. If you push straight out, you're not going to get any height. And you're going to be hitting it with momentum, so your momentum is going to transfer into upwards momentum. So, that's what you need to do the wall run. It was the first parkour move I ever learned, even before a vault, which, yeah, it was fun. So, I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. I'm going to sit you back down, and you can watch and see what I do. And I'm only going to do the wall run. I'll teach you the wall climb afterwards. I'm only going to wall run, grab, and drop. Alrighty. So that was the wall climb and then just to drop. I used a higher wall just so you could see the action on my foot a little better. Just see how I pushed up in a way. But next I'm gonna be doing the wall climb, the cat leap wall climb. The wall run to wall climb is the same as the cat leap to cat leap to wall climb. So the cat leap, you'll be grabbing on both hands like this and both feet like this, all right? So, like how a cat climbs a tree. So, hence why that's called a cat leap. But, I'm gonna set you back down. Oh, the wall climb, you just kind of, you do a muscle up, which I'm pretty bad at those. But, yeah, I'm gonna be working on that because in my wall run part of the video, I messed up. I messed up quite a few times. I need to practice parkour a lot better. I've fallen out of practice. But, yeah. I'm going to demonstrate the wall run, or the cat leap wall climb. Alrighty. Next up on the list here is wall descent. Alright. I just got finished doing the wall run, cat leap, wall climb combination, and my arms are thoroughly cut up from this concrete. But, gotta keep doing it. I'm definitely gonna be practicing a lot more now, because I'm out of practice. But, the next thing to know is the wall descent, which I kind of went over that in the turn vault a little bit, but I'm gonna be going into a little bit more detail. So, equally as important as getting up is getting down. So, what you're going to do is, usually this would be done a lot higher, but I'm going to use this wall again. So, what you do is you turn vault over the edge, catch yourself in the cat leap position, and then drop down. It's pretty easy. So, that's why I went over the cat leap first, because you need to be familiar with that cat leap position. Alrighty, so the last thing that I'm going to be teaching you today is the safety roll. It is the most important thing in your arsenal. Alright, so to do the safety roll, it's pretty simple. It's not a somersault. Alright, that's a big thing. It's not a somersault. You're going diagonal across your back. Alright, so I'm going to set you up on a rock and I'm going to demonstrate it. This is a very hilly area. I chose a bad spot for this. It's fine. Ugh. God, I need to practice parkour more. Alright, so I'm going to demonstrate it right here. Alright, sit you right there. Alright, so I'm going to take my jacket off. See how cut up I got. So
to do this, so this is to save yourself from when you're taking a big drop, all right? So to do it, first off, get into this position. I like to put a triangle right here when I'm practicing it, all right, right here. All right, so, and then dive your head into that triangle. Make sure you don't hit your head, but that's kind of where you want to go, and then go diagonal across your back, all right? So, like that. Hi, squirrel. So, that was a poor roll. That was a really bad one. But alas, you get the point. Go diagonal across your back, because if you don't, you'll damage your spine. And as you can imagine, that's not ideal. So, diagonal across your back, and do that at the end of a roll to make sure that you can disperse the impact throughout your whole body. Okay? But yeah, so once you've got that down, what you can start doing is incorporating that with vaults. Just slowly work your way up to actually taking drops with it, you know? I'm going to bring you somewhere else where it's a little bit flatter so I can have the camera in a better position. I found a spot. That's where the wall runs were. So, all right. Last thing, I was supposed to have safety roll be the last thing, but I completely forgot to do this. Precision jumps. These are really easy. Start at one point, be on the balls of your feet, jump and land at the balls of your feet. Pretty easy. That's it.
And we're back. So, training and continued knowledge. So let's say that you've learned everything that's required regards to combat, de-escalation, and things like that. And parkour, of course. I'm recording this before I make the parkour section, so just pretend that this has continuity. So once you've learned all of the must-knows, the important stuff, what do? You know, you have a couple options. You can learn new parkour moves and study more martial arts, maybe take a different, like, class for one of the martial arts that you studied that you really liked. But the most important thing that you need to know is that don't let it come at the cost of your required knowledge. Okay? For instance, this happened to me recently, and it's kind of what spurred this entire video, is this one topic. On a recent patrol, I was out in full suit, you know, and I saw this wall, and I was like, oh, that's a sick wall climb wall. It's actually where I was in the parkour section of this video, all right? That wall that I'm going to be going to, or went to, I'm recording this after, I said, oh, this is a sick wall climb wall. And I ran at it and hit the wall run, but messed up the wall climb, all right? Because my armor adds a lot of weight, and I haven't practiced parkour in a long time. I was out of practice, and I messed it up. Luckily, I was just doing it for the hell of it. I mean, but the thing is, let's say I was chasing someone, or worse, being chased, it could have ended pretty badly for me. You know, I could have gotten hurt, I could have been ripped down and punched in the dick or something, I don't know. But I have been focusing more on upgrading my gear and upgrading my combat over maintaining my parkour, which those are very important things, gear and combat, don't get me wrong, but you can't let them come at the cost of your other required knowledge. And something that I wrote down here is having the knowledge on how to do something is not the same as being able to do it. Like, for instance, you could study how to do a quadruple flip, all right? That doesn't mean you're going to be able to do it. You know the steps that go into doing it, but it's practice and building that repetition that makes you able to do it consistently and better. Um, don't attempt a quadruple flip because that's killed many people, but, just throwing that out there. Next is de-escalation. This is the most important part of being an RLSH by far. De-escalation is how you should handle 99% of encounters. Don't encourage violence. If it's not a fight that you need to take, don't be afraid to walk away. All right? You don't need to get involved. If the police know about it and if it's not an emergency situation, then why fight them? And especially if you're outnumbered. Because I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the best martial artist on the planet, you're not going to win a 5v1 fight. But if someone starts pushing you, you have legal right to hit back, but in my personal opinion, you don't have moral right. Because this is actually something my mom taught me when I was a kid, is she was like, I'm fine with you if you get into a fight if 1, you don't hit first, 2, you try to solve the situation with words, and 3, you try to back away. And back away is one of those things that, like, if you are defending someone, then scratch that last part. And yeah, that's different. But self-defense, try to remove yourself from the situation. Because you'd be shocked at, how many people think it's really funny to jump the guy in the super suit. I had that happen when I patrolled in a trailer park a couple times. Yeah, not fun. But anyway, kind of went on a bit of a tangent there. But if you haven't tried to diffuse a situation via being calm and understanding and try to reason with them, a lot of people can be reasoned with. Realistically, they don't want to add an assault charge to whatever charge you got them on. Of course, that's not some people, and you will need to get into fights occasionally. It will happen. But most of the time, you just need to put into practice de-escalation. Try to talk them down and try to just make them calmer. It's a really delicate art form, and you need to be able to read the situation and read people really well. You need to, because what works as de-escalation for one person won't work for de-escalation for another. It's incredibly hard to master, and I'm not a master at it. I'll never claim to be a master at it. But it's really important that you kind of learn these things to know how to talk to people, to talk them down. And this also works if you see somebody who's trying to, jump, if you know what I mean. That's also an important thing. I've never seen that personally, but the de-escalation is incredibly important in situations like that, because you need that kind of knowledge on your side. But yeah, let's go into suit design and persona. So the most important thing with suit design, functionality first, period. All right? Style comes later. In my opinion, there are 3 kinds of suits: cloth, padded, armor. Cloth, pure style. It works if you're simply a community assistance type of RLSH, which is great, but that's not what I'm covering here. If that's you, good job, keep up the good work, do you. But that's not what I'm covering in this video. Padded is what you're most likely going to start out with. I currently rock a padded suit, looking to upgrade soon though. A padded suit will be able to take punches and some knife attacks and batons and baseball bats even, things like that. For instance, I have knife resistant sleeves, and you can stab through them, but if you block a knife, it won't cut you when they pull away. All right? So, yeah, knife sleeves are recommended for that reason. There are homemade armor options. I wore a cut up big piece of a plastic tub as chest armor for a long time, and it worked as knife resistant really well. Like, I've tested it many times, and it actually worked. It's not knife proof, but it's resistant. I'm currently actually looking into getting. Well, actually, I'll get into the armor section. Hold on a minute. I wore that way longer than I should have. But it did work, and it worked good. I've modified it more than one occasion because at first it was just a big flat piece of armor, and then I cut it down the middle because I realized I could get more movement like that. And then I realized it was riding up ever since I cut it down the middle, so I made it so it would wrap around my legs in a weird way. Yeah, you will start off with homemade armor, and that's okay. As long as it's efficient, as long as it's functional. All right? That's the big thing is if it hinders you or it's really, really bad or doesn't do the job that armor should, then don't use it. That end of story. You made bad armor. Now I have armor that I've bought and it's actually pretty solid and it's movable and can take punches. The plates on it can stop knives, but the thing is that I'm probably going to be upgrading to bullet proofing and knife proofing sometime soon. On the flip side, I am moving to Texas, so I kind of got to save funds. Anyway, let's move on to armor. So armored is the best of the best. This is what the top names use. Like, I know he's kind of a sore topic in the community, but Phoenix Jones, he wore bulletproofing and full-on armor for everything that he did before he became a drug dealer. So things like bulletproofing, knife-proofing, D3O body armor, this is what your end goal should be. Realistically, there's always going to be that one thing like, oh, I should have that, I should have that, I should have that. You know, there's always going to be that next thing that you want. But armored is what you should strive to get. My recommendation is that when you're ready to start getting armor instead of padding, do not cheap out. All right? Spend the $500 on like a really good bullet and stab resistant vest, so you never have to buy armor again. Because that's expensive and you'll spend a lot of money if you cheap out the first time. Style, let's go over it. Style is something that you're naturally going to want to have if you're a real life superhero. It has a function. It does have a function. It has a function of public image. A guy in a bulletproof vest is scary unless he's wearing a cape, you know, or something similar that makes it clear that you're not a threat. That's why I started wearing a cape. Since my mask was gone, I needed a thing that made me stand out and prove that I, you know, had something else going for me. And the cape actually did a way better job than the mask did, that's for sure. But the most important thing is if you do end up getting something like a cape or something that is just purely style, it needs to be tearaway Velcro or something that can be just instantly removed if necessary. Like my cape, it's tearaway Velcro. It used to be hooked here, Velcroed to itself, but I since hooked it to my shoulders because then it won't move as much because it was getting really fucking annoying. But alas, not the point. So if I get into like a scuffle, I'll just rip off my cape and I'm good to go. Or if they tear my cape, it won't affect me. They'll just get my cape. And that's what, $20? I can spare the $20. Persona. This is the most choice that you're ever going to have, is what you want to go with. You can do anything you want with it. But if you want my recommendations for a name or something, make it short and easy enough where a kid could remember and say it back. All right? That way, anybody can remember it, because there's a considerable overlap between the smartest kids and the dumbest adults, so just remember that. And do not copy an existing Marvel or DC hero. Stop with the fucking spiders, please. As an RLSH, your PR is everything, and if you have bad PR, you may just get arrested. Because you could scare people, and that's a whole ordeal in itself. Let's go over some possible weapons and gadgets now. Possible weapons and gadgets are things that you'll be excited to think about, but I'm going to be Captain Buzzkill because all of your fun ideas are illegal. You want to use a batarang? Illegal. You want to use a baton? Illegal depending on your state. Really, the one thing that's kind of consistent with legality is pepper spray. And tasers are pretty consistent, but even then it's iffy on some states. And your conduct with this weapon is crucial. For instance, in Minnesota, I carried a baton for a while before I found out that it's questionable legality. It's not a hard no and it's not a hard yes, but it's questionable. There's a great website that I'll link in the description that has baton legality. Just basically bullet pointed through the states, and if you look at Minnesota, it says like unclear or something like that, because the way that they describe the laws for it are so fucking weird. But another gadget that's really, really important that I only got recently, a body camera. I really wish I got that earlier in my career. It is very, very important. All right, I cannot stress that enough. A body camera is really important because I had this happen once or twice where I'll go into a situation where this was when I was in a trailer park, so people would get into fights somewhat frequently. I would go in there, try to defuse the situation, and then, he hit me, way. You know, watch that's the thumbnail for this video, by the way. The YouTube thumbnails always hit me with the most ugly shit, I swear. And you're the idiot in the superhero costume, so you get in trouble. That's what'll happen. The thing is, though, is when it happened to me, I had a pretty decent relationship with the cops at the time. So they were cool and they knew what I did. So I was cool with them. But yeah, so make sure a body camera is really important, just for your own protection. And that way, because I remember in earlier videos, what I would say is if you see a crime taking place, take a photo of it, take a video of it, and then intervene. This way, you can just skip that process and just not waste time. It's more efficient. Let's go over transportation. You have a few options similar to armor. You have walking, faster with no maintenance, and faster with maintenance. All right? Walking is pretty self-explanatory. You walk everywhere. It's not brain science. The phrase is rocket surgery because it's, you know what, I'm trying to be quirky. So faster with no maintenance is a skateboard, scooter, bike. Bikes are not ideal because once you get to your location, it's hard to transport them. I mean, a guy in a super suit walking around with a bike isn't exactly all that threatening. And it's really hard to just deal with. But if you have a skateboard or a scooter, you can throw it in your backpack if you carry one, or some other way to hold it. But the thing to note about that is that, remember, scooters and skateboards, they add weight, and you know, if that weight is worth it to you, then sure, go ahead. I mean, it's not bad to do it like that, but it's just something you need to know is that it will add weight. And fastest with more maintenance will be a car or a motorbike or something like that. This can be used in tandem with the other options, like you can use a car to get to a hot spot in your area and then skateboard around. You know, things like that. It will rack up a big gas bill after a while, but it is good for getting to a new area quickly. But that's up to you. Personally, I'm a walker, all right? I'm competent at skateboarding and I can ride one and get around wherever I go, but I just personally don't think it fits. It's not worth the wait for me. That's the thing, is it's just not worth the wait. But that's just me. It's just personal preference. If it is worth the wait for you, then great. So, let's go over law enforcement. Your interactions with law enforcement will make or break your entire RLSH career. It is extremely important. You have to be very nice with cops. You always tell them your name, whether you are masked or not. They know your identity, and they will keep it a secret. They are friends, not your enemy. You always tell them I got behind. Where am I? They're chill with you as long as you're chill with them. You're working in tandem with them, of course. You help them. You are not a vigilante. The difference between a vigilante and an RLSH is pretty simple. I'm going to give you an example here. Let's say that there's a mugging going on, all right? An RLSH would call the police, inform them of the situation, or have your oracle do so if you are so inclined to have one, and then make a citizen's arrest. I'm not going to go over the citizen's arrest here because literally every state is different. Please look up the laws and legality regarding citizen's arrest in your state. I am not going over it in this video, nor will there be a link in the description because you need to do your own research regarding that. See, what a vigilante would do in this situation is he would see the mugging, go fight the guy, do what he sees fit, beat him to a pulp, or in worst case scenario, kill the dude, and not involve cops at all. Cops are what we aim to give all of our findings to, because they're going to be better at it than we are. Just blanket statement. Vigilantes take the law into their own hands. RLSH do not. Vigilantism is legal and rightfully so. I've said that many times, and I still stand by it. Even at the beginning, I always said vigilantism was legal and rightfully so, and I stand by that to this day. Vigilantism is not okay. To mask or not to mask, that is the question. Masked versus unmasked is a discussion that has no definitive correct answer, but I will give my 2 cents in it. As I have been both masked and unmasked in my career, I will say that unmasking has made my life infinitely easier. But I do kind of miss the anonymity. The secret identity is the whole shtick of a superhero, you know? And there are ways to do it legally, for sure. But remember that your identity is always given to police if they ask, end of story. That's all I have scripted, but I actually do have more to say on this topic. Masked versus unmasked is something that when I unmasked, I toyed around with the idea of just being masked for YouTube and stuff, and I was like, if I'm going to be unmasked one place, I want to be unmasked everywhere. So what I ended up doing is just making that funny video of reasons I'll never reveal my identity in the last 5 seconds, you know, and that worked out great. But the reason I say it's made my life easier is because people are not sketched out by me anymore, you know? Because when I first started, people were kind of, you know, especially with the scarf mask, people were a little bit sketched out and they didn't know what I was. They didn't know what I was doing. It's not normal. What we're doing here is not normal, and we are not going to pretend that it is. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being abnormal. But yeah, that is the simple masked versus unmasked. It's going to be your preference, but I will say life gets easier if you unmask. If you are masked, wear something colorful. Wear something that makes it clear that you're here to help. I remember I have a whole video on when I had "here to help" written on my back when I was masked. Just because I didn't want to be seen as a threat. So, what to expect on patrol? So for this one, I literally just have improvise written down. So I'm going to improvise because it's a really easy topic. You're going to be bored out of your fucking mind. Straight up. Most areas, crime is, unless you're like in fucking Detroit, crime isn't going to be all that frequent. It's not common, and I have a video on what to do in a crimeless area, which is mainly just litter duty. But yeah, so litter duty is kind of what you're going to be doing for most of your time, or just general helping the homeless, or looking around trying to track clues, or talking with police and talking with other people and taking photos with people and shit, because people will see you and want to take photos with you and shit. It happens, and you just got to do it. It's for your PR. Like I said, PR is everything. And because if you have bad PR, people won't like you, and if people don't like you, they'll view you as a little bit scary. And if you're scary, then people will want to get you away, and that leads to you having a bad interaction with law enforcement. And when you have a bad interaction with law enforcement, they're always going to be in the right. Well, regarding you, they're going to be right because you're a weirdo in a super suit. That's always going to be against you. So when you're on patrol, take photos with people. Be nice to people. Be friendly with people. Be happy with people. Don't be Batman. Don't be the mean, brooding Batman who's gonna, not take the minute to take photos with people and be happy. All right. Yeah, just literally just be a good person. And another thing to note, when you're on patrol, kids will run up and hug you. I had that happen when I patrolled during the day. Now I'm a nighttime patroller, but kids will run up and hug you, and it's as adorable as it sounds. Something I don't have listed here, but I want to go over are some roles. I do not have a team. I used to kind of have a team. Now I do not. But this video is very much so inspired by Rlsh 101 by Nika Benson, and he goes over roles in his video. I will link that video in the description, by the way, because that very much so inspired this video. But let's go over some roles. So the only role that I have two roles, me and my Oracle. I have two, kind of, depending on their availability. So with my team, there's a lot of I'm familiar with how people view the role system and how they work it. Even if I don't follow it, because I'm a one-man operation pretty much. So let's go over what I know how to do. Me, I have to do everything. So if you're a one-man operation, this part of the video isn't exactly for you. And I'm not going to be great at explaining this, but I'm going to do my best. So if you're a one-man operation, you have to have... The only thing that I really should carry that I don't is medical stuff. But on the flip side, I'm not that familiar with medical. It's something that you should know and something that is important to know. But the most medical things I have are alcohol wipes and Band-Aids, which is not good. That's a weakness in my suit that I should rectify shortly. But you need to be well versed in everything. But let's go into the Oracle role. I only recently started having an Oracle. I kind of sort of had an Oracle a few times, but only recently have I consistently been having one. And I will say that that is the best addition to my team I have ever had, ever. Because, one, I'm not talking to myself anymore. I do have the tendency to just ramble on to myself when I'm bored. And I don't just... I think aloud is how I describe it, is I think aloud. So... yeah, but the other roles are going to be things like medic or something like that, or the radio guy. Well, that falls under Oracle. See, I don't really... The roles are very complicated for me because I don't really follow them, It's not what I do. But I know of them, so this is one of those things that I'm going to recommend you do your own research on, or maybe find your own sort of role system that works for you. Don't be afraid to improvise. But in conclusion, that is my ultimate RLSH tutorial. Listen to everything I've said here, and you'll be ready to become the ultimate RLSH. You'll be ready to become... Fuck, I just repeated myself twice because I read the same line. Fuck. If there's anything I missed, please tell me in the description of the video. I'll make a video discussing this further. I hope you enjoyed. So, yeah. Please leave other video ideas in the comments, by the way. I probably ruined a lot of video ideas by making one big one like this, but I thought it was important that there was an updated video because, like I said, I've been using Nika Benson's RLSH 101 video to give to newcomers for the past 6 years. It's the one that I used when I first started out. It's the one that kind of inspired me. But he goes over some things that I don't agree with. Some things that he doesn't cover, things like the legality or the parkour of what to train and stuff like that. He goes over some basic things, but not everything. And I thought that it was important that somebody did. So I hope that this video stands the test of time like that one has, because I will probably still continue to review Nick Bence's video, and I do recommend checking it out. It's a solid video overall. So that's my advice. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed.